Hi folks, myself Shivam Kumar Rajak will be telling the overall assessment and the final verdict of the movie Remember the Titans, which was released in May 2000. The overall assessment of the movie Remember the Titans is that it is a powerful and emotionally resonant sports drama that goes far beyond the boundaries of a typical football movie. While American football provides a central narrative framework, the true subject of the film is social transformation, specifically the struggle against racial prejudice, the challenge of integration, and the long, difficult journey towards mutual respect and unity. Set in early 1970s America during a time of intense racial tension, the movie uses integration of a high school football team as a microcosm of broader societal change. From an overall perspective, the film succeeds because it blends historical context, human conflicts, leadership theory, and emotionally storytelling into a cohesive and impactful narrative. One of the strongest elements of the movie is its character-driven storytelling. Each major character represents a different mindset shaped by upbringing, social conditioning, and personal fear. At the beginning of the film, racial hostility dominates interaction. Players refuse to sit together, parents openly oppose integration, and even assistant coach struggle to accept change. These conflicts feel realistic rather than exaggerated, making the eventually transformation more credible and meaningful. The portrayal of leadership is another critical strength. Coach Herman Bones' authoritative yet principled leadership style contrasts sharply with Coach Bill Yost's calm, relationship oriented approach. Together, they demonstrate that effective leadership is not one dimensional. Bone focuses on discipline, accountability, and fairness, while Yost emphasizes empathy, trust, and emotional intelligence. Their evolving partnership highlights how shared goals can overcome personal differences and ego conflicts. From a management and organizational behavior perspective, this makes the film particularly relevant to leadership studies and team dynamics. The training camp sequences form the emotional and thematic background of the movie. This scene emphasizes forced interaction as a catalyst for change by removing from their familiar social environment and compelling them to rely on one another. The film demonstrates how prejudice weakens when individuals are required to cooperate towards a common objective. The dialogue heavy moments, especially conversation between players and different racial backgrounds, are instrumental in showing how understanding develop through communication and shared struggle. From a cinematic standpoint, the film is competently crafted. The pacing is steady, ensuring that emotional beats have enough space to resonate. The football sequences are engaging but not overly technical, making them accessible even to viewers unfamiliar with sports. More importantly, the game functions as symbolic test of unity rather than more athletic competition. Victories and losses are used to reflect the internal state of the team rather than serve as a primary source of drama. The emotional tone of the movie is one of a gradual optimism. While it does not ignore the harsh realities of racism, it chooses to focus on the possibility of growth and reconciliation. Certain scenes, such as moments of personal loss and sacrifice, add emotional gravity and remind viewers that progress often comes at a cost. These moments elevate the film from being motivational to being deeply reflective. Critically, one could argue that the movie simplifies some aspects of racial conflicts and lean towards an idealistic resolution. However, this optimism it is intentional. The film is not designed as a documentary level analysis of systematic racism, but as an inspirational narrative that emphasizes what can happen when individual can choose courage over comfort. In that scene, the film achieves its purpose effectively. And coming to the final verdict of the movie, Remember the Titans stand as a compelling, inspirational, and socially significant film that balances entertainment with meaningful commentary. Its greatest achievement lies in its ability to humanize complex and social issue through relatable characters and emotionally grounded storytelling. The movie demonstrates that unity is not achieved through denial of differences, but through acknowledgement, respect, and shared commitment. As a sports film, it delivers excitement and motivation. As a social drama, it provides insights into prejudice, leadership, and change management. As a life lesson, it reinforces the idea that teamwork, discipline, and empathy can overcome deeply rooted division. The film leaves viewer with a lasting message. Real victories is not measured on the scoreboard, but in the transformation of mind and relationship. This enduring relevance is why Remember the Titans continues to resonate across generation, cultures, and the academic disciplines. And adding to the final verdict of the movie, this movie is a timeless and impactful film that successfully combines sports, leadership, and social justice into a memorable cinematic experience. It is not just a movie but about winning games. It is a movie about winning trust, respect, and humanity. Thank you all.
My name is Shreyas. Okay, today I'm going to talk about the Remember the Titan. It's a timeless based on the unity, courage, and the transformation through the power of football. So I'm going to move to the next slide, which is found in 1971 Virginia. It's based on a true event. It's not just a game. It's a drama set during a racial integration in a school. A film focuses on high school football team which navigating the profound social change. And what makes the movie remarkable is it's a blend athletic competition with a deep social issues using a sport as a lens to examine humanity. So the challenge is uniting a divided community. So I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay, novelty in storytelling. Okay, it's novelty in storytelling. It's football. It's football as a tool. They chooses a football as a tool. It's the sport serves as a platform for a unity and a change, not with a central team. And it has a dual narrative, combines a sports drama with a racial and a social conflict seamlessly, and a personal transformation. Emotionally, resonance makes the complex social issues deeply relatable to the storytelling and shows the character evolution beyond the winning games. So I'm moving to the next slide, which talks about the originality in the character portrayal. So it's a realistic and a flat. Characters are authenticate, evolving individuals facing real prejudice and the fear. Both the black and white players struggle with their own bias. So it's a strong leadership emerges through the coach Bonnie and the coach Yosh, while friendship develops naturally over time, which impacts the team with the overall this thing. So I'm going to move to the next slide, which talks about the power of collective growth. Collective growth as a these things, which is prejudice, transformation, understanding, unity. In wherein prejudice, it's a initial fear and disrupt. And when it is coming to the transformation, it's a collective success and a growth. And we're understanding a shared experience builds bridges and unity, respect through teamwork. So it's a unique, and this movie has a unique social message which develops the school level integration, highlights racial integration through the everyday student experience. So and it comes to unity through discipline, and discipline is focuses how respect and team builds the bridges across the divides. And the authenticate approaches addresses racism honestly without being preachy or a didactic. And when it comes to the shared goals, so this movie has the share goal focuses which emphasis on equality through the common purposes and a mutual respect. And it comes to the social reform through their everyday interaction and not just a grand gesture. So I'm going to move to the next thing, which talks about the emotional and the cultural impact. It's and this movie has a three important this thing emotional impact and the cultural impact, which is powerful dialogue, leadership lesson, and a timeless relevance. So it's when it comes to the powerful dialogue talks about the memorable scenes through the resonate across the generations, and it passes to the generations to generations. And when it comes to the leadership lessons, it's inspire the team courage and acceptance and inspires the whole team to focus together and perform in teamwork. So, and the main thing is timeless relevance. So it's still vital in discussion on diversity and inclusion today. So next thing is why it still matters. Later, 50 years later, it's still inspiring audience worldwide, universal appeal and a global message. When it comes to universal appeal, the resonance with the sports fans as a great gender audience alike. And when it comes to global message, that transcends and the cultural boundaries. So a story about the humanity. It's like just it's a sports. It's adds a story about the humanity, which has a breakup of stories drama, social realism, and unity through struggle and a timeless impact. And when it comes to story drama, it engaging the athletic narrative and social realism, it's an authentic portrayal of integration and unity through struggles, growth from shared challenges, and timeless impact messages that endorses. Remember that Titans is a novel. It's seamless blended of sports and social commentary, showing unity built together and struggle together and the perfection. So the conclusion is it's not just a sports or a movie. It's a story. It's a story of change, a testament to the unity, a timeless message. A story of change means transformation through courage and understanding. A testament to the unity, providing the respect transcends to differences and humanity. Timeless messages are humanity's capacity for growth and connection. It's just not just a sports movie, it's a story of about humanity and change. So thank you.
My name is Shwetha. Today, I'm going to talk about the strengths of the movie Remember the Titans and why it remains such a powerful and relevant film even today. At first glance, Remember the Titans looks like a sports movie about American football. But at its core, it is a story about racism, leadership, teamwork, and social change. The film is set in the early 1970s during a time when school in the United States were being integrated, forcing black and white students to study, and in this case, play together for the first time. So, next, first and the most important strength, the powerful social message. One of the greatest strength of this movie is its clear and impactful message against racism and discrimination. The film does not ignore the harsh realities of prejudice. Instead, it openly shows hostility, fear, and resistance, both among students and adults. What makes the movie strong is that it shows racism as learned behavior, not something people are born with. As the story progresses, we see how interactions, shared experience, and honest conversations slowly break down stereotypes. The message is simple yet strong. Unity is possible, but it requires effort, empathy, and courage. Second strength, strong character development. Another major strength is how well the characters are developed. At the beginning, players are divided strictly along racial lines. There is mistrust, anger, and even hatred. However, as the team trains together, suffers together, and wins together, their attitudes begin to change. Characters like Jerry Bertier and Julie's Campbell represent the transformation beautifully. Their journey from hostility to mutual respect feels realistic and earned, not forced. This gradual change makes the film emotionally engaging and believable. The third strength is inspiring leadership portrayal. Leadership is one of the most powerful themes in the movie. Coach Booney's leadership style is firm, disciplined, and fair. He believes in equal treatment, merit based decisions, and accountability, regardless of race. At the same time, the film also shows collaborative leadership through Coach Yost, who supports Booney despite facing personal and professional risk. Together, they demonstrate the true leadership, which means standing by values even when it is uncomfortable. This makes the film especially relevant for students of management, leadership, and organizational behavior. The fourth strength is the teamwork and unity as a metaphor. Football in the movie acts as a metaphor. For society, the team cannot win unless every player trusts and supports the other. The film strongly conveys that diversity is not a weakness, it is a strength when people work towards a common goal. The transformation of the Titans football team show how cooperation, communication, and mutual respect can dramatically improve performance. This idea is highly applicable to modern workplaces, multicultural teams, and global organizations. Fifth strength is emotional depth and engagement. The movie succeeds in balancing serious social issues with emotions, humor, and inspiration. There are moments of tension, moments of laughter, and moments that are deeply moving. This emotional balance keeps the audience engaged while reinforcing the message. The film doesn't lecture the audience, it makes them feel the consequences of hate and the rewards of unity. Sixth strength is the strong performances and realism. The performance, especially by Denzel Washington as Coach Pooney, and add authenticity and intensity to the movie. The actors convincingly portray internal conflicts, personal struggles, and emotional growth. Additionally, the fact that movie is based on a true story adds credibility and emotional weight. Knowing that these events actually happened makes the message even more impactful. To conclude, The Remembered of Titans in much more than a sports film, its strength lies in its powerful social message, strong character development, inspiring leadership, and emphasizes on teamwork. Emotional depth and real life relevance is also portrayed. This movie teaches us that change is difficult, but it is not impossible. It is truly possible with the unity. When built on respect and shared purpose, anything can be overcome and even deeply rooted divisions. This is why Remember the Titans continues to be relevant for most of them, like the students, leaders, and society as a whole. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Shravya from FBA 1. Today, I'm going to talk about some weaknesses and areas for improvement in the movie Remember the Titans. While the film is widely loved and very inspirational, it's important to look at it critically, especially because it deals with serious topics like racism, integration, and social change. First, one major weakness of the movie is that it oversimplifies racism and racial integration. The film suggests that once the football team starts winning and working together, racism mostly disappears. In reality, racial integration in the 1970s was far more complicated and painful. Racism didn't just come from individual attitudes, it was built into systems like schools, neighborhoods, and government policies. This movie avoids showing how deep and long lasting those struggles really were, which makes the solution seem easier than it actually was. Another issue is the presence of white savior elements in the story. Although Coach Boone is the main character, many important moments of progress are shown through white characters, especially Coach Yost. At times, it feels like racial unity happens only when white people or white characters approve of it. This can unintentionally take away agency from black characters, making them feel like supporting figures in their own story rather than equal drivers of change. The movie also contains historical inaccuracies and exaggerated events. Many scenes were changed or dramatized to make the story more exciting and emotional. While this works for entertainment, it can be misleading. Viewers might believe the events happened exactly as shown, even though the real integration process was less dramatic and more gradual. This can distort people's understanding of history and the real challenges that were faced by people. Another weakness is the use of one dimensional supporting characters. Many of the players are defined by just one personality trait, such as being angry, racist, or funny. This limits the character depth and reduces complex individuals into stereotypes. Real people experiencing integration would have mixed emotions such as fear, confusion, anger, and hope, but the movie rarely explores that complexity. The film also relies heavily on emotional manipulation. It frequently uses inspirational speeches, emotional music, and slow motion scenes to tell the audience how to feel. While this is effective, it can sometimes feel forced. Instead of allowing moments to naturally impact the viewer, the movie pushes emotions very directly, which reduces realism. Another area for improvement is the limited role of women and families. Female characters are mostly shown as girlfriends, daughters, or background supporters. However, racial integration affected entire families and communities, not just football teams. By excluding these perspectives, the movie misses an opportunity to show how deeply integration impacted everyday life beyond the field. Finally, the movie also places too much emphasis on winning football games as the solution to social problems. It suggests that victory equals unity and that success fixes racial tension. This can be problematic because it implies that social progress depends on performance rather than understanding justice or equality. In real life, unity should exist even during failure, not only when things are going well. In conclusion, I would like to say that Remember the Titans is a powerful and inspiring sports film, but it has several weaknesses. It simplifies racism, relies on emotional storytelling, and avoids deeper social complexities. While the movie succeeds in starting conversations about unity and equality, it sacrifices realism and depth to maintain a feel good message in the movie. Thank you.
Hello all, I am Urvi Joshi and today I'll be talking about the key takeaways or learnings that we can get from the movie Remember the Titans. So initially when I first watched the trailer of this movie to understand or to get an overview, I thought that this movie will be dwelling upon the sport that is football and there will be its own timeline. But as and when I watched the whole movie, understood the concept or the reason behind the whole movie, I came to know that football was just an ingredient to the whole recipe. It was not the main story behind the movie. So the story gives us a few takeaways that is to be noted. The first is that change always does not feel good at first in its initial stage. We see that there is a football team, a high school football team, and which consists of the students from both the communities, that is the white community as well as the black community. So in the movie, it is shown that in the very beginning, in the initial phase of this whole team, no one is excited about the team, the game, the sport that is football. So here comes the coach, Coach Boone, who is an American African coach. So he is appointed, and he knew that there were differences among the students. There were racism between the students. So Coach Boone tried to remove these differences on the basis of making the students feel, making them experience rather than just giving them learnings, preachings, and just saying what to do, what not to do. He made them into such situations where students did not have any option but to change. So the another takeaway that we can say is professors, the coaches' mindset of change in the students through personal experiences and not through lectures. Next takeaway is that uh, fairness always creates respect. Now we are able to see in the movie that the coach Boone considers each and every student, be it from white community or be it from the black community, he takes or he teaches all the students as his own. He does not create racism between these students. So here we have to note that when the leader himself is firm enough to take responsibility of each and every student, of taking them together, working as a team and winning. So that creates fairness among the team members also. When the coach is formed, the team members also gets affected. So next, if we see that the strong leadership which is being seen among the two coaches, first, as we already talked, is Coach Boone, and second one is Coach Yost. Coach Yost belongs to the white community, so this gives him the shared interest between the white community students and himself. He knows what these students go through. So he looks at a greater picture, that is the team as a whole. He does not differentiate himself and the team between whites and blacks, but he takes into consideration the whole team and the sport, the football as a whole. So this is another takeaway that even if you belong to some of unprivileged or privileged society, it is upon you how you take it. It is upon you how you pass it on to your peers, to your team members. Next is trust changes everything. We also see this is again, we also see in organizations that trust is the main key factor over here. Uh, at first, we see that the team does not support each other, they just play as individuals. But as and when the story goes ahead, we see that when they have emerged trust between each other, they work as a team, they work for the team. And this is the reason why their game changes. They start to win matches. And also, the takeaway that is to be taken here is the real win isn't always the trophy, it is how we take it. It is upon the end result. So, these were the takeaways that we can develop on and from the movie. Remember the titles.
Hello, I'm Sridevi from FPA1 and our movie is Remembering the Titans, and today I will be speaking about the audience impact and the motivation behind it. So what if I told you that this movie isn't just about football alone, right? So Remembering the Titans film uses football as background, but the real game that is being played here is much more harder than that. So it's all about breaking the fear, pride, and the years of hate. So when the movie starts, the team is very divided. So they do not trust each other, they do not even want to stand next to each other. And honestly, this discomfort feels like a very real one because we have all been in that place. And the first thing that we do is judge, and then we try to listen later. So, this is where real motivation begins. So, what I felt from this movie was one of the most motivational things is about Coach Boone's leadership, right? So, unlike any other leader, he just doesn't give motivational speeches filled with fancy words. He just point blankly talks about uncomfortable truth. He forces the players to talk and to learn each other's names, to know where they're from, because he wants to know something that is really powerful, something that's very valid. So you can't hate someone just because they know the truth, right? So that's just a simple idea, but then it's so hard to practice. So the movie motivates us to experience discomfort rather than just avoiding it. So growth doesn't necessarily come from effort and comfort. So it comes from having hard conversations, making really hard choices, and standing up when it's not easy to stay silent. So, after all this, we can imagine a shift. So, there's a moment when the team finally gets together and starts working things out because they're forced to do it, right? So, there's this motivation that shifts in them. So, it's no longer about winning the matches, but it's all about earning respect. And I think the audience feels that something has shifted there, something very deep, because it mirrors the real life itself. And just like in classrooms, in offices, in families, we all want to be belonged and feel loved. We all want to be seen beyond these labels. So, something is said to have an impact when it has touched us, right? So, just like that, I feel that this movie has impacted the audience because it's lasting and it just goes beyond the concept of preaching. So, it really shows. It shows how prejudice can be harmed and unlearned, and how leadership goes just beyond responsibilities and more than power, and how unity isn't just automatic, it's being built on steps and lessons. So when this movie Titan started winning, I feel it started to earn, not because they're just the strongest team, but because they decided to become one team. And as viewers, we just do not take and cheer them for the touchdown, but we cheer them for every barrier they broke. So, after watching the film, at the end of the movie, we realized that something there is really beautiful. So, the players didn't just change the scoreboard out there, but they changed their town as well. So, that's the power of motivation, right? So, it reminds the audience that small acts of courage can create big changes. Speaking up, listening, choosing fairness, even when it costs you. So, to conclude, I would just like to say that remembering the Titans motivates us not to be perfect, but to be better than we were yesterday. It leaves the audience with the hope that change is possible, right? And the fact that unity is such a powerful thing, and the first step to that is where leadership begins, and that begins with empathy. And after the long movie that ends, the message that stays with the audience is that if they could come together, then what's stopping us now?